This video is a walkthrough for the second problem assigned for Chapter 14. And as before, the numbers you see here on my spreadsheet may differ from what you see in your homework assignment, but the formulas I enter here should be very similar to what you're going to be using. So before taking a look at the detailed information, let's look at the requirements. Here, the first requirement is to journalize two different entries. The first one is to record goodwill. We know there's two different methods we learned here in Chapter 14 when we admit or when we have a partner withdraw from a partnership. One was that bonus method, and I believe that's what we had used in the first homework problem. And the second method is now this goodwill method. Okay, so we're recording goodwill in the first journal entry. And in the second journal entry, just showing the cash being contributed by the new partner. The last requirement for this problem is to show this table of the capital accounts and their balances after admitting the new partner. So let's go into the detailed information. There's more information here than what we need, yeah? So we can ignore anything additional given to us. We have a partnership, Prince Robbins, with two existing partners. And here's the balances in their capital account before admitting the new partner and their profit and loss sharing percentage. We all know that assets are equal to liabilities plus equity. All of this is the equity at the beginning of the year. Assuming that liabilities are zero or they're subtracted already or netted out to get the assets, this total right here should also be equal to the assets for the partnership at the beginning of the year before admitting the new partner. And to get an interest in the new partnership, here we have Jeffries is going to invest $91,000 cash to get a 20% interest in the partnership. So the question here is if 91,000 is worth 20% interest of the whole partnership, what is the whole partnership worth? 100% worth of the partnership. What's the dollar figure? Well, you would just take this 91,000 and divide it by 20%. And whatever, well, let's do it here on my calculator. 91,000 divided by zero point 0.2, that's 20%. The whole partnership, after Jeffries admitted, should be worth 455,000. So that really is the assets that we start off with, plus the cash being contributed by Jeffrey, and any additional amount to bring us up to a value of 455,000. That additional amount is now going to be the new goodwill asset we're going to allocate to the two current partners before Jeffrey is admitted. Okay, so keep that in mind here. That's what the first formula is going to be when we make the first journal entry. Some additional information we're given is that the net income, let's look at it here, the table, is going to be divided up among the three partners here. But we're not told to do that, even though this information is given to us. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on the first journal entry. Again, record a goodwill being allocated among those two existing partners before admitting the new partner. So goodwill is an asset. Assets are increased with debits. So that's the first entry here in our transaction. And then whatever we debit has to equal credits, and it's going to be allocated, this new asset goodwill going to be allocated among the two partners, two existing partners, allocating it to their capital accounts. Prince and Robin. So now what is the goodwill asset? Again, the value in excess of anything we can identify as assets. So again, here are the current assets, and here's new cash asset coming in, and anything in excess of that is goodwill. Okay, so let's get first What's the implicit value? Again, 91,000 divided by 20% will give us 100% value of that partnership. So let's start off by taking that value, 91,000 divided by 20%. So there's that number I showed you before. Yeah, this 455,000. But we're looking at the excess over identifiable assets. So we're going to subtract out, let's see, the two capital accounts. Again, we're assuming this is equal to the fair value of whatever assets are already there. And the new asset coming in, this cash here. Okay. So the difference between these two here, yeah? The implicit value of the whole 100% of the partnership and the identifiable assets we have here. So the excess is our goodwill, 54,000, of which we're going to allocate 80%, I think it's 80% to Prince and 20% to Robbins. So let's grab that 54,000 and multiply it by 80% for Prince. And do the same thing for Robbins for his or her 20% interest. And just to double check, we're balancing. So these two credits are 54 equal to our debit. Okay, and then the simple cash coming in here being contributed by our new partner, what's the name? Jeffrey. That's the 91,000 cash. And I'll just grab the debit to equal the credit here. Let's see if I can double check my calculations. So remember all the assets we have now? We have the existing assets equal to the existing capital. Let me use my calculator. That's 160,000 plus 150,000. Okay, that's the existing assets. Now, what new assets do we have? Well, we just recorded a goodwill asset, 54,000. And then Jeffrey's contributing cash asset, 91,000. So here is, again, remember this number? The total value, all of the assets of our new partnership after admitting the new partner. Okay, so it seems like I'm reconciling things here. Okay, so, and we'll see that same number again. So let's try to fill in this table here. So print starts off with a capital balance. Again, the beginning here. 160. I'll tell you what, let's do a total down here. Yeah. And we'll see the totals increase by or change with the numbers we enter up here. So let's go equal sum. Can I do Alt equal? That looks good. And I enter and copy this formula across all the columns. So let's put in Robin's beginning capital. I'll tell you what, let's total up these rows here. So I'll go Alt equal, that looks good. And then just copy it down to the next two rows. I could even copy it all the way down, yeah? So it will foot down and also cross foot to the same number. That should be always a check, but it's not built into our template here. So let's do the investments. Nothing here, yeah? Nothing by the two existing partners. It's Jeffrey's that's contributing. an investment equal to that cash being put in. It's 91,000. Okay, and of course that matches his capital account, that we had credited over here. So how about the goodwill being allocated among the two prior partners? We have that in the journal entry. For Prince, it's 43.2, and for Robbins, it's 10.8. I think I'm done. Let's foot and this is footing down, yeah? How about if I crossfoot, if I add up these three? Again, yeah, it should come out the same. Let's check my work. Looks good. Let me show you a trick. If you want to see a formula, you have to generally click on it, and then you can see in the formula bar up here. But if you want to see the formula within the spreadsheet itself, on your keyboard, if you hold down the control key and the key to the left of the number one key, right above your control key, I think they call it accent or tilde, control and that key, you can kind of see, of course, if you can widen, I cannot widen my columns here. You can see the formula within the cells over here, yeah? And to go back to the answers to the formulas, the same keystroke, yeah? Control tilde, yeah, off and on. Works better on a spreadsheet that's not locked in with a column, which you can kind of widen the column to see the whole formula within the spreadsheet. Okay, that's it for our last problem of the whole semester. Hopefully I'll talk to you later.